all of the audio.
Egg, egg.
Why does this
Egg.
feeling always come to me? Like there's some place that I'm supposed
Egg.
to be. Oh, hold me closer, I don't want to go. Look
Egg.
in my eyes and you
Egg.
will know, I know this is as good as it gets.
Egg.
Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? I feel like I'm the greatest man in the world. You are my favorite girl. This is as good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Nobody else in all the whole human race could know the look on your face. This is as good as it gets. Why does
Veldy.
my mouth is running, but the mood's direct. Oh,
Egg.
if you linger, I'm a lonely soul. Just take my hand and I will take control. Good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? I feel like I'm the greatest man in the world. You are my favorite girl. This is as good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Nobody else in all the whole human race could know the look on your face. This is as good as it gets. Good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? I feel like I'm the greatest man in the world. You are my favorite girl. This is as good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Nobody else in all the whole human race could know the look on your face. This is as good as it gets. Just when I think I should be calling my jets. This is as good as it gets. This is as good as it gets. Oh, this crazy 'cause it's not over yet. This is as good as it gets. This is as good as it gets. You got your amber eyes, and now I know why. This is as good as it, good as it, good as it gets. Why do we leave each other in the night? We walk away just when the mood is right. Oh, wait for me, you know I need you now. Show me your heart and I will show you how. Good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? I feel like I'm the greatest man in the world. You are my favorite girl. This is as good as it gets.
Egg.
Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Nobody else in all the whole human race could know the look on your face. This is as good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? I feel like I'm the greatest man in the world. You are my favorite girl. This is as good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Nobody else in all the whole human race could know the look on your face. This is as good as it gets. Good as it gets. Good as it gets. Man in the world, favorite girl. Good as it gets. Good as it gets. Good as it gets. greatest man in the world. You are my favorite girl. This is as good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Nobody else in all the whole human race could know the look on your face. This is as good as it gets.
Egg.
Why does it hit me when I least suspect? My mouth is running, but the mood's direct. Oh, let me linger, I'm a lonely soul. Just take my hand and I will take control. Good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? I feel like I'm the greatest man in the world. You are my favorite girl. This is as good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Nobody else in all the whole human race could know the look on your face. This is as good as it gets. Good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? I feel like I'm the greatest man in the world. You are my favorite girl. This is as good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Nobody else in all the whole human race could know the look on your face. This is as good as it gets. Just when I think I should be calling my jets. This is as good as it gets. This is as good as it gets. Oh, this crazy 'cause it's not over yet. This is as good as it gets. This is as good as it gets. You got your amber eyes, and now I know why. This is as good as it, good as it, good as it gets. Why do we leave each other in the night? We walk away just when the mood is right. Oh, wait for me, you know I need you now. Show me your heart and I will show you how. Good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets?
Egg.
I feel like I'm the greatest man in the world. You are my favorite girl. This is as good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Nobody else in all the whole human race could know the look on your face. This is as good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets?
Egg.
Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? I feel like I'm the greatest man in the world. You are my favorite girl. This is as good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Nobody else in all the whole human race could know the look on your face. This is as good as it gets. Good as it gets. Good as it gets. Man in the world, favorite girl. Good as it gets. Good as it gets. Good as it gets. Human race, look on your face. Good as it gets. Why does this feeling always come to me? Like there's some place that I'm supposed to be. Oh, hold me closer, I don't want to go. Look in my eyes and you will know, I know. This is as good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? I feel like I'm the greatest man in the world. You are my favorite girl. This is as good as it gets. Oh, don't you know this is as good as it gets? Oh, don't you
Has this
know
been the
this
same
is
song
as
over
good
and
as it
over?
gets? Nobody else in all the
Yes,
whole
it
human
is.
race
Oops.
could know.
My bad. It's
it's the goodest song that we could get. I'm sorry. That's as good as it gets. Very good, everyone. Very good. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Oh my god. Oh, the heat. I'm fucking dying, y'all. I am... The heat, it's killing me, and I'm dying from the heat, and I'm melting, and I'm catching on fire. And we have to kill the sun. I agree. We should kill the sun about it. Because this is insane. Fuck. Consider air conditioner. I've got a fan. I have a fan on and stuff. Ooh! I saw Metroid. Why is the armor for the people who operate with explosives worse than the standard soldier? Oh yeah! That shit. that dumb little plot point. That was good.
Car battery!
Ow! Anyway. Good hit. Hi everyone! It's been a little bit of a while because I didn't stream on Friday because I was gonna I had someone over, and then I was gonna stream the Lego Sonic build on Saturday, which was yesterday. I haven't made a schedule yet. Oh, I should definitely do that. Well, I'll just open that folder for later. And so I was gonna stream, but then, whoa, my hand, that was wild. But then, I was busy all day, I was walking, and I was having a fun time. And I got bit by 1 million mosquitoes. On the legs mostly and stuff, and I had a bad reaction to them, and I was and still am in quite a lot of pain, but now it's manageable, so it's fine, so we're gonna stream. But like, god damn, it was not good. So here we are again. I got a new phone. So now it's bigger than the old one, and it's this big. That's how big it is. That looks really big, actually. Is that how big it is? Yeah, that's how big it is. That's pretty big. I compared it to the size of my face. But yeah, now I'm gonna be using this to do stuff on stream, such as this. But we're not doing that yet. So that's neat. Also, it can play video games better than the old one and take better photos. So hopefully I'll be able to take better selfies now and stuff, you know? I need an even bigger phone, of course. I need a phone that's as big as a TV so I can play this regular console games on it really well. Yeah, I got any video games on my phone? I do. I've got Sonic Forces Speed Battle on there. What else? I bought some comic books and stuff. I also went ahead and bought This Is How You Lose the Time War because I've heard it's really good and gay. And it's pretty short, so I'm gonna be reading that at some point once I'm through the current backlog of books. I thought phones were only for MIDI tunes and Yuri. Here's the thing, some video games contain Yuri. For example, Sonic Forces Speed Battle contains Tangle and Whisper as playable characters, you know? Nobody thought it was gay. I heard it was good. No, never heard it was gay. I thought it was gay. I feel like I heard that it was queer. So I'm gonna read it eventually. I got some new bookmarkers and prints and a Jenny button and stuff. It was nice. I've heard Time War is pretty lesbian, right? That's what I've heard. And I also found 10 cents on the floor at one point, so that's exciting. Does it have Jet the Hawk? I think it does. I'm pretty sure. What? Whoa. Let's see, what else is relevant to to make note of. Nothing at all. Oh, I bought one of the Nichijou volumes also while I was out there. I saw it and I was like, yeah, you know? You get Slay the Spire on phones, that's pretty good. Yeah, I've heard it's good, but it's never really interested me that much. I probably just already have it on Steam, so if I want to play it, then I can just play it. Sun Redeem's not working? Oh, yeah. I changed my my Twitch password recently because that's a good thing to do, and now I have to re-authenticate everything. You know how it goes. Let's see. What was the thing called again for the Twitch thing? For the Twitch sound effects? There it is. No, not Peekaboo. Fuck that shit. Bum, 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 bum. Pew. Yeah, I would like more like mobile phone specific games, you know, and good ones, not like exploitative ones, obviously. But so far I haven't really found any of this. Is she, you know, losing the time war? Alright, also Sun Redeem should work again now, hopefully. We'll find out, I guess. Together. Yeah! It works again! Yay! Wonderful, wonderful, so good. So happy. Make me so glad that things work. Yippee! If I seem... I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's gonna happen this stream, but if I seem a little out of it at some point, a little lower energy, a little like I'm dying of the heat, it's because I am. So that's why. It's the kind of sweltering heat, I'm sure we all know this, we've all experienced this unless you live in a part of the country that hasn't succumbed to climate change yet. The kind of heat where you just can't, it's just, oh god, it's just so hard to do things, you know? That's where I am right now. Anyway. It's okay, Zoe, we're here to witness your death and support you in this troubling time. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, everyone, for being here for my my soon-to-be funeral. Anyway, let's just get right to it, I suppose. And by get right to it, I mean do the eggs. So remember, everyone, if you have but one measly little point, you can redeem it to put an egg on the X-Tex. The new phone is annoying because the button for unlocking it is on the side. So previously, right? Previously what I would be able to do is I would be able to press down on the front of it and then pick it up in one smooth motion. And now I can't do that anymore. Which is stupid. I have to like pick it up first and then put my thumb to the side of it. I'm not a fan. Anyway. Oh my gosh. It's time for the eggs and we're starting today with Vex
You're stupid!
Oh, rude. And then we've got Dynalo. Next up is Zero Elec. Esteemed Jester. Roots-a-Terra. Yeah. Green Clunk. Kira Cat. Mary Clown Exo. Mike Loves Rabbit. Ghost of Christmas Future. Your name is a color of blue that kind of falls away against the background, so it's a little hard to read. Atrim Toa. Viridescent Fae, Mecha VT, Trans Girl Trish, Juniper Theory, Insomniac Artificer, and finally finishing the first stack of the day, Ashley Miami. Thank you all very much. Beep. Move the U-bots back up top. Right. Anyway, if anything else doesn't... Polar Stars, thank you. If anything else doesn't work that usually would work, please let me know, because I might have to authenticate something again because of, you know, Twitch and stuff. Let's see, there was a Sonic sticker, Amy sticker, wherever I wish. Oh! That works. I will put Amy right over here. And then there was another Sonic sticker on me, I believe. Yes. Can you put Rouge on the back of one of your hands or on my belt buckle? Well, the belt buckle is usually going to be blocked by you guys, I feel, so I'll put it on the back of my hand. Come on. There we go. Ah. There she is. And a sippy. A dab. Oh, dab. Dab. I just saw that one now. Oh, I put ice cubes in the water. Oh, that's good. Oh, we love water. We love to be fucking hydrated. Metroid Trilogy. Oh, oké, Nederlands. Dus, wat was ook weer het laatste wat we hadden gedaan in Metroid? Dus we hadden, de Galactische Federatie kwam naar beneden en toen moesten we wat dudes door actieve vuurzonden leiden en zo. En ze waren heel dom, want de mensen die met explosieven werken, die waren veel minder gepantserd dan de andere soldaten, wat dus helemaal nergens op slaat. Like, waarom zou je dat staat er helemaal nergens op? That doesn't make any sense. It's fucking stupid, honestly. But then we didn't. We did it. Can we see the game? Can you guys see the game, please? OBS, please. Please. I'm so lonely. Oh, there we go. Took you long enough, you little shit. Yeah. Egg. Fred fucks. Thank you for your egg. Moving these bait. There we go. Yep. I should do this also. Hi Samus, hi. Hi Samus, hi, hello. You guys aren't getting like my yeah. Single player, Metroid 3. She's gay. I'm gay. I'm gay, Chad. Never forget this. I'm a big fucking lesbian. I love women. This is news to me. How? I mean, I guess, you know, I haven't been that overt with it, you know, kind of worried about hurting the ratings and stuff, so it makes sense. GQ is a big fucking lesbian as opposed to FQ is a small fucking lesbian. Yeah, she is pretty short, isn't she? Does the game not have audio? What's going on? Hold on, wait. What's the last game I played? Okay, yeah, we didn't play this since beating Shadow the Hedgehog. Shadow the Hedgehog. I know you're joking with Tara, don't worry. Let's see. Okay, the last thing we did, I think, was... The very last thing was, like, take our ship through... Or... No, I think land our ship here. That's it. The last thing we did was land our ship here. We opened up this stuff so that we could land our ship, and now we're taking our ship deeper into the planet, the pirate homeworld. That was it. Enter ship. Be careful, Zoe. You're gonna drive away the conservative cishet audience. Yippee! Ow. Because Gauntlet Queen is already the biggest lesbian, so Broadcast Queen is the same size of lesbian, but she just takes up more space. Right. Yeah. In terms of lesbianism, Broadcast Queen is not bigger than me. It's just in terms of height. She's bigger. That's all. So I don't know if we're heading into a boss fight now or what, but I think we're... Okay, yeah, we're heading into a boss fight. Ooh, we're starting off with a boss fight. How exciting. Fun. We headed right to the Leviathan after the GF helped us with bombs that could have just been given to us, and we could have done the whole mission ourselves, but we had to let the GF feel involved. Yeah, otherwise they feel bad. Samus is very tall, very true, very real.
This place is great.
It's very fun when I made the promo image for Metroid Prime 2. I never had the time to do something for 3, sadly, but for 2 I made like a special promo image where I had like me and her like sort of like fist bumping like this, like as if we're like walking away from a battle or something. And it was very fun to like figure out the height difference. It's very significant. Yeah. Queen of Fennec is just a very compressed gay. Okay, wait. Are you dense? How rude. Ooh, oh my god. Holy shit. I'm not gonna deny it though. What the fuck, dude? Tentacle's hide is durable. Scans detect an interior weak point. Use of advanced visor suggested. This thing looks sick as hell. Oh my god. You're gonna attack me when I get too close? What? Barely. What if I shoot you? Nope. Okay. Damn, okay. Sore loser. Gotta try bricking my game and everything. Right here, checking my car battery storage. Oh, I hope it's nothing. I hope you have none. The tentacle was load bearing. No! The game breaks forever. Oh, we're just already here. Alright, let's see.
Car battery!
That's it. I'm crashing the game. I don't like being shot at. That wasn't me. I guess you really are out of car batteries then. Well, what do you guys think we're gonna be fighting? I think it's just gonna be a big pirate. It's probably just a big pirate. It's gonna be Omega Pirate 2, new funky mode. That's it. It's Space Pirate's Final Defense, just crashing the game. I mean, ow. That is kind of like a very like meta video game character thing to do, of course. Pile of pirates. Oh yeah, definitely don't spoil it. Ow. Hello? Who wants to fight me? Oh fuck, it's Ridley! Why didn't I see that coming? But is he Phazon the fuck up? I think he maybe. He's probably using like special gear. Although he is breathing blue. He wasn't doing that before. Yeah, it makes so much sense that it would be Ridley. Wow, you've got a weak point, huh? Omega Ridley, ooh. I think you are fighting the pirate leader, Captain Razorbeard. The crossover we always knew we needed and also wanted and got. Omega Ridley, armored plating, protects body. Fires plasma attacks from mouth. Revived and regenerated through Phazon exposure. Right, okay, makes sense. Omega Ridley has been energized to a new combat threat level. Target retains extremely durable Phazon. Wow! Omega over Derek. Derek is cosplaying as Omega today. Oh, like Omega. I get it. Dark Samus still carries a bit of Samus in her personality, so when she made this Ridley, she gave him a glowing red weak point for the funny. Yeah, when she revived Ridley. No, don't worry, Ridley. It'll be really cool. That seems like a good picture. I like to pose. I like to pose when you guys do a meme. If I can manage. Target retains extremely durable Phazon enhanced armor skin as well as protective armored plating. Scans indicate that a recent injury has not fully healed, exposed in target wound to inflict damage. Oh, that's when he got like super shot at the end of Metroid Prime 1 by big lasers. Target will act to protect this vulnerability. Seek ways to stun the enemy and leave it open for deadly attacks. Makes sense. Got an achievement. Don't know what it is. Maybe missiles will be better. Well, not if you have your mouth closed, of course. Jerk. Ah, there we go. Ooh, oh, the Phazon, it's gross. Okay, hold on a second. I think I'm supposed to do this. Well, not so late. It's never mind. Next time. Whoa! I love that it just hangs open, like they just didn't close it at all. Eee! You could have just taped that up and it just didn't. Okay. Not too difficult so far. But that was just phase 1, obviously. Ooh. Luca just got himself some brand new armor. Do I... What do I do? Nope. Do I pull it? Don't pull it. Don't missile it. Do I get to your back? Am I forget? Wait. Ah. Okay, alright. Dunk. Ooh. Maybe if you did that faster, it'd be a threat. Ow, I got hit. Never mind. You barely even hit me, like I was standing still. Okay, heat vision or X-ray vision. Am I doing it? I am. Do I even need to? Ow. Yeah, okay, I do need you to. Whoa, Sonic Speed Forces. Why did you just do a sound effect at me? Don't you know I'm streaming right now? This must be much harder on PC. Or I mean, on the actual when you're actually playing with Wiimote. I am playing on a Wii. What I meant was, it must be much harder on PC because this game is obviously not on PC, you guys. Obviously not. Whoa. That's fun. They're using those holes that I think are so disgusting. Hello, Colin, your raiders! Hello, hello! Thanks so much for coming! Thank you for the owl raid! I hope you had a nice time doing a Warframe! That's kind of like Metroid if you think about it. It's got aliens, funky architecture, hot women? Probably. But thanks so much for raiding. Thank you, thank you. We're fighting Omega Ridley. He's been revived from the dead after he got shot really bad at the end of Metroid Prime 1. Okay. Mac, no! Every game has hot women if your imagination is good enough. Every game has hot women if the fan art is to be believed. Even games that, like, don't have female characters will have hot women in them. Yeah, he was so damaged in Prime 1 that didn't even show up for Prime 2, which is really funny. Hello? Oh, hello. Yay! Maybe. Did we win? Oh god, he's getting fucked. The Phazon corruption is getting to him. Either he's dying or he's transforming into a new form. He's probably transforming into a new form. Oh fuck. Ow. Oh no, wait, never mind, he died. But now we're getting more corrupted again. Which is bad. But we also get a new grapple hook upgrade, question mark? Hyper grapple, that sounds fun. I honestly really like this suit design. I like it. It's not one of my favorites, but I like it well enough. God, okay. I was removing makeup just before the stream, and then some of the makeup remover kind of got in my eye a little bit. So now my eye is all irritated, which is not ideal. What kind of grab points would C to use? What? How's it different? Does it just have like more range or something? Ugh. Gross. Z. What was again this one? Oh. I'm overloading it. Oh fuck. That's pretty cool. So I'm not taking energy from it. I'm overloading it. Go. How bad is our corruption that we're doing that now? So this is a reflection that's pretty disturbing at this level. Oh wait, her reflection changes? That's fucking cool, I didn't know. Hello, you are disgusting. I'm going to destroy you now. Presumably. Press A towards. Yeah, I'm doing it. I was already doing that. Yay! Man, I'm so glad that we now destroyed all the seeds and we don't have to worry about anything anymore, and Dark Samus isn't a problem, and Samus is not like dying of Phazon corruption or anything. I love that for everyone. The galaxy is at peace. Oh god, gross. Turbo Mega tired, so I'm gonna hang out. Head out. That's totally fair, I get it. Get your rest, and thanks for coming. I am very curious to see what level of corruption Samus is at now, so we are going to be finding out as soon as I can. Although I feel like the game might just tell us at this point, because I feel like it's like very story relevant now.
Samus, you have successfully destroyed the last remaining seed as detected by our systems.
Yeah, I'm pretty cool.
The spread of Phazon corruption has been stopped. This is a great day for the Federation.
Hooray!
However, there is one more mission to complete. Skytown's Aurora Unit 217 reports that it has discovered the origin of the Leviathan attacks. It appears that this is where Dark Samus and her main pirate force are stationed. Destroying them will require a full-scale attack.
Fucked up that they're not even like at the headquarters.
Unfortunately, this location is so far
Why are my eyes like closed?
by conventional space travel. We must instead create a wormhole to reach it.
Must be the residual makeup or something.
The pirates have constructed a Leviathan battleship, which is in orbit around this planet. If we can board this battleship, we may be able to force it to open a wormhole.
Just looks like I'm falling asleep, but I'm not.
Are traveling between the pirates' planet and the Leviathan battleship. We will upload the coordinates of this device to you now.
Okay. The thing is, was to say those are the only seats. Those are the only ones we knew about. Yeah, which is why it's so important that we go kill Dark Samus now. You know? My eyelids are melting in the heat, dude. Oh, fucked up. Alright. Let's see. Was it this button? Nope. This one? There we go. Let's test that corruption, baby. Mm-hmm. Yep, 75%. Why do they have to be such precise levels all the time? Wouldn't it be fun if they weren't If it was like 70 fuller or 77%, you know. If it's not too humid, you can make a swamp. You can make a swamp cooler with a box fan, a towel, and a large bucket of ice and water. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna do that, but tell us more. So wait, where was it? No. Huh. Why is this here? Can we go here? I mean, we can't, but why is it here? Just put the towel half in the bucket so it acts like a wink and half draped over the fan. And then it'll like keep everything more moisturized and stuff, I assume. Oh! That's actually not true. I'm sorry, I mostly eat like Emmentaler and stuff. Also, what's it called? What's that cheese that you put on, you scrape it and you put it on the spaghetti? And it's really good? Hey gang! Glad to see we got this place under control. Parmesan, that's it, thank you. I love a good Parmesan on my spaghetti. Cheese, yeah. Alright, so let's see. We want to go... No. We... God, I love the music here. We want to go over to this room. So... We want to go up. Forward, okay. Girls do be loving a good cheese, though. Man, I should get some, just like a big chunk of cheese next time I go to the store so I can just snack on it. It's not something I should snack on too much, though, because I eat too much of it at once, then I get a bit sicky, which is not ideal. I think I went wrong. Not like lactose intolerant, by the way, it's just like too much of one taste, you know? I guess, I don't know. Maybe it is like lactose intolerance, but probably not. The best kind of cheese is bagged cheese at midnight. I do love a bagged cheese. I've got some bagged cheese. Maybe I'll enjoy some of that during the break. Who knows? Ooh, cheesy garlic bread. That sounds... Dude, I could really go for some fucking garlic bread, actually. Oh, next time I go to the store, I have to get some garlic bread. What the fuck is this thing? Like, we've never been able to, like, destroy this or anything. It's just been here. Wait, maybe if I... Oh, shit. Okay, so... Ow. So it's definitely, like, hiding something. But I don't know how to get... Ik weet niet hoe ik hier langs moet komen, weet je wel? Like, oké. Dit werkt volgens mij niet. Oh. Oh. Oké. Nou, dat snap ik dan. Dus met de nieuwe grappelfunctie doe je dat dus. Alright. Nou, weten we dat ook weer. Eieren. Laten we jullie eieren even pakken. Hey, Hal, hi! Hey, Hal, do you want to come co-host? Because we haven't hung out in a little bit. And Vector Zect, thank you also. Thank you both for your eggs. Big Preach.
Egg.
Space Junk. Thank you also. There's a Sonic thing at one point, but I think I already cut that one, didn't I? Ow! Got a stream stone, so I don't think I can today. That's alright. I hope you have a good stream. Did I get the last? Yeah, I did. Yeah, okay. Alright. We're all good. Ow. Am I going the right way? Fuck no, I ain't. Or am I? I might be?
Car battery!
Oh, ow! Rude. Unclear. Let's just try it. But no, wait, this is like the ship place. It looks like it anyway. Oh no, wait, the shuttle. I need like this is where the shuttle comes. Are you a button? Yes, kind of. Ow. Ooh. Bum. The debate Zoe just claimed that she's not filled with ricotta cheese. I'm not. I am filled to a certain amount with Emmentaler, but not with that. Who would win in a fight, Parmesan or ricotta? Parmesan, because I like it more. That is my. I'm not gonna think about their actual fight capabilities because I don't really know their specifics. I just know that I have a preference between the two. Okay, am I going the right way? I'm gonna go ahead and say, well, I super am. Nice. Okay, I wasn't so sure. Lasagna Queen is not a valid all name, so sorry. But I could go for a good lasagna actually. I could go for garlic bread, I could go for lasagna. Damn, I could go for lasagna. Might have to order lasagna until for after the stream.
We have named this planet Phase.
Ah, they do pronounce it Phase. What do you mean you named it Phase? We know it was called that. It was called Phase. We've read documents and shit about it. Whatever. Do you like spinach in your lasagna? I don't have experience with spinach in lasagna, but I think spinach can be quite nice. Not as nice as broccoli. Like, okay, spinach is like fine most of the time, but like, broccoli is like one of those things that like as a kid, there's the stereotype of hating broccoli, you know? Broccoli's fucking tasty as hell. I love broccoli, it's so good. It's a really, really good vegetable, to be honest. Especially like a cheese sauce on it, like, oh my god, you know? It's so stupid that you know, that it's like, oh, broccoli is gross. It's like, no, it's not. Brock fucking slaps, yeah. Okay, what do we do here again? Stereotype comes from a lot of parents not knowing how to cook it properly. I suppose that's probably true. I was very lucky. My parents were very good at cooking broccoli and Brussels sprouts, especially. Ooh, they make some really fucking good Brussels sprouts. What is? Primary warp system online. Access to orbiting Leviathan granted. Enter hologram to initiate warp. Okay. Let's go. Ooh. Oh, they're doing that kind of a thingy from Metroid Prime 2 again, maybe a little bit. That's a cool transition. Well. Side note, cauliflower is a bechamel sauce. In a bechamel sauce is God tier, no notes, A+++++++. I can imagine that. Cauliflower is also an underrated vegetable. How you like your Brussels sprouts cooked, Chad? I personally prefer the way that my parents would make it, which is They are there's probably more to than what I know, but the gist of it is they skewer them on little stickies, you know, and then you put some kind of sauce over it. I think it contains, it's got egg, it's an egg sauce, and then like breadcrumbs like breadcrumbs over those, and then you put it in the oven in a bowl, and that's it. I mean, it's not just like an egg, that's an egg sauce, so there's more to it than that. But oh my god, it's so fucking good, y'all. It's so tasty. Also, ow, there's a noodle place nearby that I love, and they offer broccoli, but the issue is you just kind of throw in the broccoli raw, which throws off the whole meal, when it would be perfect if broccoli was steamed instead. Oh, that's a shame. Just raw? Wait, like, after they make everything, they just put the broccoli in there. That sucks. That is not good. Boil them, and then once they are nearly done, you put them in the chicken. Okay, as it's finishing, so they soak up some of the taste and boil a little more in the goose fat. Is it chicken or goose? Make up your mind, bud. But I can imagine that being good. Also, what the fuck is this? Is this? It's one of those leviathans that we've been shooting. Or like that we shoot after every boss fight. It's just here. Gross. I thought we destroyed this already. Control terminal commands the Leviathan. Operate terminal to gain control of the Leviathan. Ow. Finally, we can scan this thing also. Target appears to be a portion of the Leviathan's core, invulnerable to all weaponry. Okay. You kick a chicken in goose fat. Oh, okay. I steam them first, then saute them in butter and salt. Doesn't take much to make them delicious. It really doesn't. They're just good. We're going to have a Brussels sprout feast tonight. Nice. Can I come? I'm probably gonna order some lasagna later to arrive near the end of the stream.
Command codes are needed to gain control of the Leviathan.
Ugh, fucking of course. Can never be easy, can it?
We have detected that the abandoned ship Valhalla has not been fully explored.
Ah, this is what we need all those energy cores for.
The answer to some mysteries. Return to the Valhalla and search for the command codes.
Okay. Ooh. Back to the ship. Why would the codes for the Leviathan be in the Valhalla? Did a space pirate happen to drop their codes while I'm raiding it? That is actually a good question. I think the Valhalla is like a little bit taken over by the space pirates, but like they didn't repurpose it. It feels more like they just raided it, yeah. And just, I don't know, some people stayed behind or something. The teleport effect looks quite silly. But it's kind of neat. It's kind of a neat way of doing like a no loading screen transition. Oh my god. Ice water. Oh my god, so good. I feel alive again. Woo! Woo! Oh, woo! Is this relevant? I don't think so. How do I leave? Green. Green. A fan is not enough. It really is not. I've got the curtains closed. I got the fan on level 3 strength and stuff. So like if you guys hear the fan in the background, I'd like you to ignore it. Pretend it is not there. This one. Pew 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 pew. God, this is a really cool effect. Also, yeah, I'm not gonna get an air conditioning unit because that's just not that useful here most of the year. You know? And they're less good for the environment and such. Which do you prefer the 4 different beams in Prem 1 or the stack beams in 3? Definitely 3, easily 3. It's a much more unique way of doing things. It's more streamlined. It means that all your others, like, it just makes everything more multifunctional and stuff. It's much cooler. Where are we going? Right. I remember. I know things. Yeah, I don't want to get a window unit. I don't even know if I could in this apartment building. I feel like that might be, like, against the rules. To just replace one of my windows with an AC unit. Besides, sticking beams was an integral part of Super, which we all know is the best Metroid. Yeah, no, I mean, it does feel more Metroid to do it this way as well. It feels right, you know? Come on. Kill each your landlord and you can make the rules. The problem is that I don't have one single landlord. It's like a large business. It's like a company that owns a bunch of places throughout the country. That's not to say that it shouldn't still be destroyed, but it makes it a little bit harder, you know? Oh, this one. Now let's see. I think what we have to do is get all of these, and we're missing one, which is on Brio. Data indicates energy cell is connected to hidden fuel gel pumping station. Like, I'm assuming that we need all of these at this point. Plus, we only need one more. So let's just go get that one instead of fucking around here. We probably have all the stuff we need now. Now would be a good time to grab upgrades if you intend to 100%. Good thing I'm not. I don't really care about 100%ing video games. This was the first Metroid game I beat 100% on my own. Oh, that's nice. I still don't care. Brielle. Let's just go somewhere. I stopped taking advice on dealing with the heat from Americans since one told me that they thought the government would pay for every house to have aircon since we live under socialism. No, not that. Our government is certainly nicer than the American government, but they have limits. They're more, they'll talk more about maybe stopping climate change than helping citizens deal with it. Hello, here we are again on a different planet. And we want to go to some sort of fuel cell. How do you, hold on a second, how do you do that again? There we go. Well, there's still something in this room, and it's very close by, so let's just take a look over there first. Yippee! I think we just have to go down. Wait. Okay. Come on, hello. Thank you. Oh my gosh, really, Samus, yay! Then Samus has to help me down. Alright, so let's see. Wait, hold on, is it the one that we like couldn't get before? Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah, it is there. Okay, so this is the one that we've seen before. So what kind of large predators are in the Netherlands? Like, do you get wolves and bears? Just wolves. No bears. So it just leaves and so it's like, wait, what the fuck? I'm stuck. Is Fennec Queen ever at risk of being carried off by an above average owl? So rude! Okay, she's short. She's not that short. Well, an average sized owl could not get her. A large owl probably could. Found a spare car battery? Oh! Good for you. I hope you don't, you know...
Car battery!
Oh no! Wow. Oh, like in the Sonic movie, definitely. Oh yeah, that one for sure, easily. So what do we? Oh, ow! Oh no, that's just a door. Here's a stupid idea. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh. What was Sonic's owl mom's name again? Something Claw? Yeah, I was trying to remember that myself. No, it was definitely something Claw. Long Claw? Oh, maybe it was Long Claw, yeah. It's so messed up that the British just wiped out all the wolves and bears and bowlers on the island. It's very fucked up. They were also extinct in the Netherlands, but a few years ago, some wolves from Germany have been making their way back over here. So no! So now there's wolves again. Oh! Don't cry. I am just a fish. Na 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 na. I am just a fish. Na 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 na. I like that song. It's good. So he's falling off the shelf. No! Samus wasn't in time to save me. Wait, what it? Why didn't you jump? You should have jumped. It was from Germany, got so no. I'm just a shark. I mean, I was human before. Wolves don't attack people though, unless they're really, really desperate, or they are currently in large numbers and you are small and threatening their cubs and stuff. Okay, can I do this? Nope, there's an invisible wall. Okay, Uh-huh. Large battery appears to have been removed, but the icon on the map is still there that I don't have the pickup yet. Ow. Like it's right there. That's what it is. But I have no idea how to actually get it. It feels like we need to rotate the tower or topple it or something, but I have no idea how to do that. Ooh. Oh, did I miss an egg at some point? Hold on, give me a moment. I did. Leopoldias, sorry for missing your egg, but here you go. Here we go. Oh shit. Fuck. Hey, one of the audio things didn't work again. God dang it. I would imagine that various acts of violence could topple the tower if the devs wanted that to happen. Yeah, but given this, I mean, if it were up to me, you could just shoot 50 missiles at it and it would work. But you know, I wasn't part of the dev team for this game. Alright, so it's like right on the other side of this tower. Ooh, look at her eyes. Her eyes are all fucky now. You see that? Let's see. Yeah, this is definitely how you see it the best. Kinda hot. Casino Night Zone vibes. And it's very funny to me that in the Metroid Prime games you just start half-pipe writing. It's very funny. Now, like maybe we have to activate this guy and then he will go do it. But it says it's permanently offline, so probably not. Al? Anything I can do here? I don't think so. I feel like I've probably already done all the stuff, but who knows? Maybe this is what we need. Maybe we do a super bomb thing. No. So I presume that there was once a power up there, but no longer. Man, this is really tricky. I tried to get you on the dev team, but you were taking a nap. Dang it. But I do love to take naps. I wouldn't have given that nap up for the world. What about this thing, maybe? Nope, I don't even know why that's there. Doesn't seem to serve any kind of function. Like, maybe, you know? Maybe I just don't have the right upgrades, but I feel like if that was the case, I would still be able to find something to scan. To let me know what I will be able to interact with once I've got that upgrade, right? You think I got it? Okay, well, tell me. At this point, I'd just like to know. What if I grappled? No, wait, never mind. I saw a grate you could go through. It's in the fuel gel. It's in the fuel gel? That? Go through fuel gel. Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. I'm just saved now. Okay. In that case, in that case, there still doesn't really seem to be anything. I saw wrong, my bad. That's alright. I appreciate you trying, and I had forgotten that I'm safe in fuel gel now, so that's still good to know. Yeah, we're having fun in the goop, but I'd like to have fun in the derelict spaceship together with all the fuel gel, all the fuel cells, I mean. Like, are we supposed to approach this from a different room somehow? I don't think so. Can someone just look it up? If someone in chat could just figure out the solution, honestly, I'd appreciate that at this point. You have the ship grapple. The ship grapple. Yeah, I think so. Wait. Oh. Okay. I feel like, you know what? I feel like in a previous stream we'd found that. I'd already tried that in a previous stream, and I'd have gone, okay, so I will come back here later once I have the object I need. And then I forgot. Well, Tenebrous Forge, thank you very much. How's the stream today? We've been in this room for like half an hour. Only to find out that we weren't supposed to be here. In that case, because I would just kind of like to continue the game, does anyone know where I can find the item that I need for this? I would like to get a move on. Because that's what happens when your PlayStations are weeks apart. Sadly, yes, thanks to all the stuff that happened, I had not streamed for a while. Or one of the AA turrets, anti-air turrets, if I recall correctly. Oh, where was that? What do you need? I need something. I need my ship to grapple something, I don't know what. As an energy generator, you need a North Jungle Courtroom. Okay. Let's see, North Jungle Courtroom. North is this way. Gateway. Grand Court. Grand Court. Okay, so it's probably here-ish. I mean, there is something here at least. And it's north, and it's a court, so it would be cool if you could pick up the statue. Yeah, if we can pick up shit with the ship anyway, I feel like we could make this a lot easier. Also, you can just screw attack over the fence, but then they put an invisible wall there because they didn't think to make the fence tall enough. So that's cool. North Jungle Court is in the Brio Thorn Jungle area. And that is not where we are? Question mark? Thorn Jungle, okay. Cliffside. Gateway. Gateway. Green Court. Yeah, that's where we're going. Right? Is it? Oh, wait. Oh, North Jungle Court. Okay, wait. Oh, it's closer, so that's good. That's convenient. Ow. Ba-ba-bum. Up. Am I going the right way right now? Yes. Good. Ow. Ah. There we go. Up here. Ah, got it. I assume. What? Don't cry. I am just a fish. Na 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 na. What the fuck is that? What are you? Actually, what are you? For the Fargle Hatcher, able to jam incoming missiles. Mouth is vulnerable to attack. Within a Fargle Hatcher's maw is an organ cluster that is vulnerable to attack, but only when exposed. Fargle Hatchers are capable of giving birth to dozens of young in a matter of moments. These offspring will immediately swarm in on any nearby attacker. Their skin is incredibly resilient and will reflect most weapon fire. That's gruesome. Did you just like use all your offspring to attack anyone as a weapon? But is it more or less gruesome than wild, like feral cats eating their babies when they don't feel like taking care of them or when they don't have food? Just like an American parent. Ugh. But like, I was gonna make like a joke about something American, but I realized I don't know enough about American politics and stuff and laws to like make a good joke. So never mind. You all are spared. Nature is brutal. Also, there's a fuck up. Okay, that's it, bitch. Wow, you look so weird. You are so weird. Kinda cool, but so weird. And also you do shockwaves, I guess. Open your maw. Damn it. Lego Mario and coffee bagel. Thank you both. Out for the eggs. Can you not? So how do you ever reproduce then? Like, do you just have to barf up your babies when there's no threats around? Come on. Yay! Well, if they kill the enemy, they get to eat. Oh yeah, I guess not everything that they throw their babies at is gonna be Samazoran, so that makes sense. Let's go, bud. What are you gonna do? Where are you taking us? Gonna do your day job. Your day job looks painful. Thank you for powering up the spider trail. Thanks, bud.
It's honest work.
He says, and then dies. This isn't progress right now. Oh! It's definitely not progress. I just want to get a collectible or whatever. Parenting tip. Most of the challenges your kids face will not be Samus or Anne. So you can take comfort knowing that they won't be that likely to die. Okay, the controls suddenly reversed. That's interesting. Don't you just love that when that kind of stuff happens? Like, it happens so much in like games where you can like walk on the walls or something, or with set camera angles, and then like as you're walking, the camera angle like changes, like Resident Evil, you know? Like your controls just like change. Don't you just love that? When the direction you're going just becomes a different direction and you just like careen off a cliff and stuff. It's very fun, I think. Keeps you on your toes. Definitely well designed. Intentional. Feature. Ooh, that's close. I love it, and it's also the source of my trust issues. Oh, it's this one. There we go. Whoa! There we go. Not even sure if that's really how you're supposed to do that, but that's how I did it. It's probably how you're supposed to do that. Yay! Ooh. Yo, a special ending unlocked! Yo! I didn't know there was a special ending to unlock. That's cool. Look at me go. Yeah, I'm a fishy, hi! That's very fun. If someone had told me that ahead of time, I would have made sure that I had gathered enough items, although I guess now it doesn't matter because I did it anyway. Oh, okay, thanks. Wait. No! Huh. Wait, I want to do that again. Because it looked like Samus wasn't quite sticking to the platform as it moved. Nope. Definitely not. Wait, what is this accomplishing? Absolutely nothing. And I'm not allowed to scan it either. Oh, now I am. On the surface. Okay, well, that doesn't matter. I guess this was a waste of time. And you were not actually able to cross this gap. So, well, it wasn't a total waste of time. We got 75 collectibles, so we can get the special ending. But also, I was kind of hoping to get to where we needed to go from here. And we don't, so that's kind of annoying. Why not? A sippy, I will do this. The percentage of collect. Whoop. Gutsy Gills. What a good name. Thank you very much for following. The percentage of collectibles affect how much addition to endings you get. That's not unusual, of course, for Metroid games. But usually it's just like, oh, and now you get to see her in a bikini. Oh, and it's like, yeah, if I wanted to see that, the internet's right there. So I expect it to be more, you know, narratively relevant additions, which I'm much more interested in. Lens Clark, thank you very much for following as well. Oh, look, it's the baby barfer. It's back. Metroid would be a far less serious game if I were to name all the enemies. Ow. The difference is that Samus wants you to see because she's proud of you. Aw. Thanks, Samus. Stretchy. Oh. Okay. If Samus wants me to see, then okay. Then I will. Then I will. Fish noises. It's just noises of whatever creature I am currently. Here we go. Yeah, I'll save. La creatura. Ow! I am yawning forever. There is no end to it. Truly, life is a Sisyphean curse. You get tired, you sleep. You're awake. You get tired. You sleep. You're awake. Je wordt moe. Je gaat naar bed. Je slaapt. Je wordt wakker. Je wordt moe. Je slaapt. Je wordt wakker. Je bent moe. Je slaapt. Altijd zo moe. Zoveel gapen. Zoveel slapen. Echt, meer moeite dan het waard is, denk ik soms, hè? Het zou niet zoveel makkelijker zijn om gewoon like een robot te zijn. And then you don't have to sleep. That seems nice. Anyway, hi everyone. Here we are on the same planet but somewhere else. It was you yearning to be a robot again. Yes, it was. Do-do-do. Oh fuck. It is this bitch. ones are fine. Those will just die on their own, maybe. Maybe not. Oh, they will. Good. There's apparently also still power up here, which should be easy enough to get. God damn it. There we go. Yay! I just noticed how the record of 2021 is almost half of 2022, so you gotta aim to double the yawn score for this year, Zoe. That'll probably happen. I'm yawning so fucking much. It's funny if you help for the 100% completion, or does it break the rules? Because some of the items are tricky. Oh, I don't care about 100% completion. I'm getting items if I notice them, but I'm not gonna go for 100% completion. And also, do not backseat game at all unless I ask for it. But if you don't, if you already know the game, then like don't backseat game. If you are speculating along with me, then it's okay. You know, if you are also not familiar with the game, you know? Alright, let's go there. Damn, not even anything behind the waterfall. Big sad. And yes, like Jody says, I will be very specific about when I actually want backseating. Or, you know, not backseating at that point, just help. Can you guys fuck off? I'm like... God. These things are so fucking rude. Am I even going the right way? Yes. Good. Yeah, these things are fucking annoying. They're not as bad as the Chozo ghosts in 1 though, because you can walk away from them eventually. Up. Ow. Rude. It almost seems unnecessary. Such a small elevator, couldn't you make that a slope? Although this is more accessible. Okay, so we have to get something from here. Or at least it should be in here. God, I hope it's in here. Did we do like a boss fight here? I feel like we had some sort of a fight here. And we did some shit here, and it was a good time. There were a bunch of space pirates attacking the place. Anti-air cannon Tiamat's offline. Whoa! Like in Dungeons and Dragons? Whoa! Yeah, it was like a wave-based survival, yes. Cannon is completely destroyed, unit is beyond repair. Okay. Oh, what about this thing? Energy generator can power large devices. This unit may be moved to a new location. Yay, we're doing it! Look at us go! Hello, ship. Yes, this one also had different elemental heads for sure, and was pure evil and had a cult. Ooh! a secret passage. Maybe this will make it easier to get back to the place where we need to put that. That'd be nice. I mean, we are back here. Wait. Have I not been on this side before? I guess not. Huh. I guess that explains why this wasn't accessible from the other side yet. There we go. Didn't miss any collectibles, did I? No. Finally! I'm so glad, actually, for real, that they don't make you walk all the way back. Are you into randomizers? Not personally. I like them, and I think they're fun to watch, but I have not done them myself because I don't feel like I'm intimately familiar enough with any games that have randomizers to do them. If that makes sense, because I've tried it. I've tried doing an Ocarina of Time randomizer, and even though I've beaten that game and stuff and I love it a lot, I'm still not familiar enough with it to not just sort of bumble around all the time. Fuck. But I do think they're neat. They made a randomizer for Pseudo Regalia, which is very cool. I feel like that's one that I might check out just because it's like a smaller, simpler game, you know? Fuck off! God, I hate kids. Barf. Get exploded. I'll see you guys do so little damage, this doesn't really matter. What you doing there? What? Fuck them kids. I've tried randomizers and they always just seem to break or become really annoying to finish. I mean, I get that. If they break, then the randomizer either isn't very good or isn't finished, I would argue. But for the annoying to finish, I get that when, like, you know, you only need like one more item. You can't fucking find it, you can't remember where the last item is, you haven't gone yet, you know. I get it. But I think they're very fun in concept. I like watching. I like putting on like full playthroughs of someone else using a randomizer while I'm doing something else. They make good background. They make good background sound and stuff, you know. Oh wait, I don't have to go here at all. I was making it so much harder for myself than I needed. The whole time. What else is new? Is it just me or 100% speedruns way more satisfying than any percent speedruns? Kinda, yeah. I get that. Because there's... The optimization of just getting to the end of the game is one thing, but the precise optimization of getting everything in the game and still getting to the end of the game really, really fast is really good. Oh, wait. No, wait, what am I completely lost the objective. Okay, hold on a second. We're not supposed to be here. Where are we supposed to be? What's going on? We're supposed to be here. Okay. Alright, that's not that bad. This way? There's also something much more triumphant, I feel, about beating a game really fast and in its entirety. You know? It's more epic. The 100% speedruns of Pikmin games are insane because they complete the entire areas in the game in one in-game day. It's terrifying. I should watch some of those again because they're very fun to watch. But my favorite speedruns still tend to be like platformers. Just because it's so cool to see them, just to, you know, the schmovement, the insane schmovement that they do and clipping through everything. It's very good. Oh, but I do have to thank Bethesda, which you won't hear me say often because fuck Bethesda, for the 3D Fallout games, because they have some of the funniest speedruns out there. Easily. I think it was Fallout New Vegas where you just continuously put on more pants and that increases your speed. Just with every pair of pants you put on, you have more speed. It's very weird. There's a specific a Games Done Quick speedrun of someone doing all the Fallout games except for like the strategy one, Fallout Tactics or something, but like all of them. I'll like the one where you're just like one guy, you know, up until Fuller and including Fuller, where he does all the games in like 3 or 4 hours, all of them. And it's a really good speedrun. The dude that does it is super funny. The explanations he gives are really good. I can really recommend. Ow! I can really recommend that one. Hi, Ro. Ben's almost Fallout 4. All right. Since I get them confused. And enjoy your lurk. Ow, Dragon Cabman. I just pulled a muscle. That's not great. Okay, we finally have all the energy cells. Let's go. Where do we go? Not that way, I don't think. Maybe we do. Do we? Who's to say? Alright. Yippee! Also, yes, the Twilight Princess low percent run is very funny. Egg. But Mama Lea, Mama Lina. Penny, for your thoughts, thank you very much for your egg. Mama Lina. Ow. Woo, yeah. Climb. Ooh. Cappy Orb, thank you very much for your egg as well. Ow, what? Fallout 4 and 76 will forever be a black spot in my memories. Honestly, deserve it for playing 76. You guys want to hear a very fucked up thing? Don't think too badly of me. Fallout 76 is an awful video game. It is such a sack of shit. They do so much wrong with it. I kind of had fun with it for a bit. There's like one specific area that I thought was fun where there's a haunted bungalow camp. It's a shit game, but I don't want to say there's like some gems in there because they're not gems. But you can find some fun to be had in it, you know? Also, at one point, I I like... What was it again? I think I like had stopped playing in an area that while I was gone had gotten nuked or something. So then I had to sneak my way out of an insanely high level area with a bunch of horrible monsters because I was severely underleveled for that. Apparently, it's so wild that apparently they thought no one wants quest chains and NPC interactions and storylines of a Fallout game, and that's why it was like that at launch. Yeah, they assumed that, you know, people would just interact with each other, and it's not like, okay, here's the thing, it's not that there aren't quest chains in it, it's just that the quest chains are all through, like, what are they called, audio logs and shit, so you never get to meet any characters except for like one robot. And it just feels really impersonal and stuff. It sucks. It's really bad. And like, and every quest chain amounts to one thing. You find a holotape? Isn't that, wasn't it? Are they called holotapes? Is audio log from Borderlands? Well, anyway, you find them, and it's about someone who had a thing, and then like, got chased by a monster, or the apocalypse happened while they were still alive, or whatever, and then they died, but then you find the thing that they had, and it's a weapon, or a special item that's cool, or something. That's every single one of them. All of them are just, man, I sure am glad that I'm recording this thing about this special necklace that I have, or this key to this vault, or whatever, or before I die. Oh, I died. That's it, that's all of them. Every single one of the quests is just the same shit. It's so boring. This way, I think? I kind of vibe with Noah Gervais's Fallout 76 take that Bethesda's writing is generally bad, and the world exploration is generally good. So removing all the NPCs was just the game being more honest. I can see it. I can kind of see it, but the thing is that, like, the NPCs helped make the world feel more alive and helped encourage exploration more, you know? Because you would hear about a place from an NPC, or you would have a quest that brought you to a specific place, and you would start exploring more and stuff. And if you don't have that anymore, then the exploration also suffers. And repeated dailies is a premium service. God, gross. Disgusting. The one quest to restart the cannery that was bugged, so when you completed it, everyone on the server would get a can of food, and people really liked that until they found out it wasn't supposed to do that. Wait, that was a bug? Okay. God, that's dumb. What do you mean it's a bug? I thought it made sense. It made narrative sense. What the hell are you talking about? Ugh. Didn't they use the same few codes for nuclear launches in 76 and people figured it out? Maybe. That sounds plausible. I don't remember. Yeah, it was so fitting. It was an event quest about helping solve food shortage, and you could do it together. It made sense that everybody would get to benefit from it. That is so fucking stupid. Everyone getting food sounds like socialism. I feel like that's against Fallout. Oh, you're right. That's getting too close to like having a political message, and Fallout would never have a political message. That's not Fallout at all. Yeah, the Scorch Queen was just a Skyrim dragon with a modified model. It was the exact same. It was very lazy and bad. I'm pretty sure that Fallout is all about how capitalism will inevitably collapse due to the corruption president everything. No. No, I don't think so. I mean, I've played Fallout 4 and New Vegas and stuff. I don't think it really stands for anything, except that like guns and nukes and stuff and robots are cool. Which, yeah, okay, if that's sure, that's a message. Also, ambiguity about whether or not it's bad to treat minorities badly. That's also cool. You didn't play. I'm fucking kidding you guys. I know that Fallout is supposed to have a message. I'm making a joke. Oh wait, we're not supposed to be here. We're supposed to go to the derelict ship. Fuck. But yes, also I didn't play New Vegas because I tried playing it, but the setting made me uncomfortable. That is to say, the barren desert makes me uncomfortable because I'm not good with wide open empty spaces. It's supposed to have a message, but Bethesda forgot the message. It feels more like Bethesda looked at Fallout 1 and 2 and said, whoa, cool robots, and then just bought it and then didn't give a shit about any of the messages in the original games, you know? Yeah, I don't think Bethesda even knows it should have a message. I think they just think it's supposed to be like a funny joke playground place with a post-apocalypse setting. And wahoo! Phantom Heal, thank you very much for the egg. I am so fucking scatterbrained. This is like the second or third time this stream where I went all the way to the wrong location. Just woke up from a big nap and my head hurts. Oh no! Make sure you keep drinking enough water. How goes the Metroid? It's going well, except that I keep going in the wrong direction. That's not going very well. There was one guy I knew in high school who thought that Fallout 3 was called it as a joke. Oh, they just didn't know about Fallout 1 and 2. That is so sad. I'm going to have to info dump about Fallout New Vegas at you at some point because it's one of the most significant political games of our time, in my opinion. I'm aware. I should really just play it with a mod that adds more trees. So it's less empty. Also, Green Clunk, I will take a sippy, thank you. Oh. Wow. Okay, get to the ship. And then go to Valhalla. Enter ship. Egg. Terrain, thank you very much for your egg. Okay, go here. Go here. Go here. Okay. I should order that the spaghetti. I mean, lasagna. I'm getting so hungry. I really didn't eat enough today. I had sort of a brunch, and that was basically it. Yeah, I have not done a good job today of eating. Which is why I want to order the lasagna. Even if it costs money. Man, food should be free. Head for Derek, absolutely. If you don't have a request for a specific hat, then I think I'm gonna do a Samus hat. Fallen Vegas also brings back the Followers of the Apocalypse, an anarcho-socialist group that Bethesda refuses to even mention in their games, probably because it scares them. Yeah, that sounds about right. Bethesda doesn't really like having themes. Except for pro-colonialism in Starfield, so that's nice. Like they literally just say like, oh yeah, we're colonizing just like our glorious ancestors, and it's like, yikes, dude. Man, just say you're racist at that point. Like, just, you're barely even hiding it anymore. Can you fucking die? Oh, right, you can phase through walls. I forgot about that. What's through this door? I haven't been through this door at all. Let's see, there was also a redeem, I think. Oh, right, head for Derek. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a Samus. Although I don't want to hide the Omega, so it's just gonna. He's not really wearing it very well right now. To be fair, they were pro-colonialism in Skyrim. In Skyrim, they kind of went, you know, maybe both sides are evil. Maybe the natives are also bad. Ever thought about that? Maybe it is more nuanced. Which, yeah, because you wrote it that way, you know? You wrote the Nords to be like super xenophobic and stuff. You did that. That's you, you know? Why are there's so many fucking AAA games that like take a very simple, clear, real life issue and say, maybe both sides are bad? Bethesda makes games that are inherently political and then tries to whitewash the politics so it's easily digestible and non-confrontational for white middle-class people. Yeah. And then also, like, the politics make no sense in it. Ooh, stuff's happening. Oh, fuck it. So many Bethesda games are so much better if you just decide to not follow either the main factions because both suck. I think the thing is that the main writers Wow. Oh, it sure is time. What was I saying? I think the thing is, like, the main writers at Bethesda are a bunch of shitheads, a bunch of bigots, and so they make the main story really bad, and then when you have side stories, those can be written with a lot more freedom, and not by the main writers probably. So those have the capacity. They still have to be, like, approved, but they have the capacity to be more interesting, you know? Which version of Rebel Rebel is that? Just the original, just by Dave Bowie from Diamond Dogs. Uh, mm, mm, mm. Okay. Alright, so it is 9 p.m. my time, which means it's time for me to do my ester gel. We are going to take a 20 or so minute break, during which I would remind you all to please take your medicine if you have to do so. Also, please make sure you stay hydrated. God, it is a fucking war zone. Please stay hydrated. Get some snackies, stretch your leggies, and I'm gonna play you guys some nice music during these 20 or so minutes. And I'm gonna order some lasagna. Alright, see you guys soon.
Stand back, I'm a criminal mind. I keep running and I feel just fine. Don't stop when they're reading my rights. You won't see me when you turn on the lights. I'm always moving cause the city's so restless. I keep my eyes open when I'm asleep. I only take what can fit in my pockets. I drop it all if I feel the heat. Ooh, it's a slippery road where the people are liquid and ice. Ooh, it's a poisonous world where the pleasures all come at a price. Stand back, I'm a criminal mind. I keep running and I feel just fine. Don't stop when they're reading my rights. You won't see me when you turn on the lights. I walk tall, but I keep a small footprint. I never call from a telephone twice. I keep a stash in every city I've been in. I'll take a trip if the weather is nice. Ooh, it's the sweat from your hands on the dial when you're cracking the safe. Ooh, it's the part of the plan where you walk and you don't leave a trace. Stand back, I'm a criminal mind. I keep running and I feel just fine. Don't stop when they're reading my rights. You won't see me when you turn on a brand new god. I'm gonna walk across the water, shout out my name from the mountain tops. I'm gonna dance with the devil's daughter. I'll show the world that I can't be stopped. I wanna break down every border, shake off the shackles of my cage. I'm gonna change the earthly order, shine in the light of a golden age. I'll show the world just what I'm made of, make them a deal they can't refuse. I'll go beyond the ones who gave up. I know I'm never gonna lose, 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 never gonna lose. I don't know why or how, I'm just unstoppable now, and I'm never gonna lose, 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 never gonna lose. I don't know why or how, I'm just unstoppable now, and I'm never gonna lose, never gonna lose. No, I'm never gonna lose, never gonna lose. Oh, no, never gonna lose, never gonna lose. I don't know why or how, I'm just unstoppable now, and I'm never gonna lose, 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 never gonna lose. I don't know why or how, I'm just unstoppable now, and I'm never gonna, never gonna, I'm never gonna, never gonna, I'm never gonna, I'm never gonna, never gonna, I'm never gonna, I'm never gonna, 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 never gonna Unstoppable now. Lonely submarine in murky shades of blue and green. A silent knock on Davy Jones's door. Octopi and hydronauts explore unsalvaged shipwrecks caught in coral reefs that span the ocean floor. The geothermal chemistry of vents below the deep blue sea, burning on and on and on and on and on and on. The winking of an angler's light, you make this underwater flight down where there is no sun. My heart lies with the sea. My heart lies with the ocean. My heart lies with the sea. My heart lies with the ocean. of those who walked the plank, the depth to which these pirates sank, crushed by precious grain. The submarine has lost its way. Shall we ever make it to the bay from where we once did leave? Our sonar ping still rings for help, diffused amongst a cloud of kelp where mermaid kingdoms breathe. My heart lies with the sea. My heart lies with the ocean. My heart lies with the sea. My heart lies with the ocean. My heart lies with the sea. My heart lies with the ocean. My heart lies with the sea. My heart lies with the ocean. My heart lies with the sea. My Wherever we go, I'm sure we'll be fine. Let's get out the door and go down the line. Pull out the maps, we're taking a lap round the signs. Wherever we go, there's something to do. So just name a place, I'll leave it to you. We're painting the town, circling round, passing through. Oh, yeah. Wherever we go, we go. Oh, yeah. Whatever we know, we know. Oh, yeah. We've got such a long way to go. Wherever we go, it's one of those days out in the sun, under the haze. There's nothing to lose. Whatever we choose is okay. Wherever we go is where I wanna be. The high and the low life, it's all fine by me. Up till it's late, I just wanna wait and see. Oh, yeah. Wherever we go, we go. Oh, yeah. Whatever we know, we know. Oh, yeah.
What? Why am I blushing? Stop it. Hello. Welcome back to the stream. Push that button. I had a nice break. I've ordered the lasagna. It should be here in a little over an hour. And at that moment the stream ends. I read a bit of Nichijou. Ow! Lovely playlist. Thank you. I love Bowman. Very, very good music. If you like it and if you want to support the musician, !Bowman in chat, and then you get a little link to the Bandcamp page. So, during the break, I read Nichijou because, as I said earlier, I bought an issue of Nichijou. It's the 11th. I think it's probably one of the new ones, judging by the art. God, like Nichijou is one of the best anime. But even in manga form, it is so intense and insane, and I love it. It's so funny. Anyway, we are about to do something. I think. Go through that door. That's all we're gonna do. But not before I scan this for lore. Collective Federation data file. Team Fortress 1. So are we talking like Team Fortress Classic or the original Team Fortress, which was like a Quake mod? Like which one are we talking about here? Let's find out. Talon 4 incident. Ah, I remember that. It was Metroid Prime 1. Planet Talon 4, formerly a Chozo colony, was struck by a stellar object 50 years ago. Object was later determined to contain large quantities of Phazon. The Chozo were able to stave off the spread of Phazon at the cost of many Chozo lives. One thing that I think is interesting about the Chozo is that they feel like an ancient lost civilization, but they were wiped out when Samus was like a teenager or somewhere along those lines. Which I think is very funny. Like, it's not been that long, actually. They just have old souls, you know? They're an old soul kind of people. They're not actually that old. They are dead, though. The survivors abandoned the planet, fleeing to an unknown location. Decades later, Hunter Samus Aran responded to a distress call in the sector and discovered a space pirate Phazon mining station there. Aran eliminated both the pirate and the Phazon thread from the planet, though not without cost. Yes, we know it well. What was the cost? I don't actually remember. I want to see like the reflection real well, but I don't think we're gonna see it better than this. Do be fucked up though. She do be having a bunch of Phazon shit running all over her face. Metroid Red sheds a lot of light as to why they are mostly dead besides space pirates hunting them to extinction. Yeah, I still gotta play that one. And I do wanna. But because I hear it has a bunch of really cool stuff. Fucked up girls are hot. This is so true. Oh fuck. Space Pirate boarding pod. These light crafts are used to pierce the bulkheads of larger ships. It's a good game for sure. Difficult but good. I'm okay with difficult but good. Pirate boarding pods are crude even by their... Oh fuck. God, my desk is weird. It does not want to play nice with my chair. With my sick gamer chair. Pirate boarding pods are crude even by their standards. They are composed of an propulsion drive, a crammed crew transport module, and a nose cone packed with high explosives. Oh yeah, we've read this before, haven't we? Yeah, they just sort of ram into stuff and hope they don't fucking die. So they're called space coffins. What about you? You got any lore for us, buddy? This displays data for energy cell ID. We already have all the energy cells, don't we? I think so. Yeah. We do. So, can I scan it? Nope. I guess that one out there either failed or detached after a while. I'm guessing it failed. Which is extra funny considering they were able to board a stationary abandoned ship. Ugh, you. Jesus Christ. So where do we go then? Yeah, the energy cells are like the relics, yeah. But you can start collecting them like from the start, which I like. Here, I guess? There's a hole in the wall that I haven't been through. So I have to go... Alright. Dolphin? What are you talking about? I'm playing this on a very real Nintendo Wii. Samus gave it to me. It's a special edition that can use mouse and keyboard controls. Oh, there's just a hole. Bye. And then there's an elevator over here. God, they love to make you push things with a little Wiimote, even when it like almost doesn't make sense from like a in-universe perspective. Like why would an elevator with 2 levels have an up down button and a down button instead of just a go button? Because like it can't go further up than the one up that it can go anyway. Now we gotta go. Actually, we probably gotta go that way because I haven't been to that green place yet either. Green place, green door. Hello. A guy! Wait. There we go. A guy! Phazon has begun the process of absorbing this dead trooper's body. That sucks, dude. Oh. That looks pretty thoroughly absorbed, actually. That was like all armor. That was the only thing that was left. I don't think there was much to absorb. Woo, space. This place fucked. Oh, you. I got a little bit scared. Well, not scared, startled. Security hatch unable to open. Control mechanism within wall has probably malfunctioned. So I gotta go inside the wall. But yeah, it's very nice how you can just find the fuel cells around the game already and like collect them as you find them. And then if you haven't found them yet by this point, then you can get the hints for them. Okay. It's not like the relics of the previous games where you like can't yippee! Where you can't, like the first game at least, where you can't start getting them until you actually like reach a certain point in the game, it feels like. And in the second game where you could get them, but they're invisible until you get the right visor. This is definitely the best way it's been done. It feels much more natural now. It flows better, I feel. It's not a, oh, okay, now I have to go do this. It's a, oh, well, what a coincidence. Wouldn't you know it? I already have some of those. How nice, you know? I don't know. It works for me. I like it. Something kind of pop up. Oh my god!
Hello, everyone.
I fought one of these before, I'm pretty sure. When head's interior is damage, stands close can be ripped off. Right, okay. So I think I'm gonna shoot a beam in there at some point, and then tear off the tentacles. You gonna open up? Missile? No? No? I'm just gonna go. Do you know of the quick way to kill these guys? X-ray. Hey! That's backseat gaming, don't do that. But I didn't know. And that does make sense, I keep forgetting that I can do that for like weak points and shit. And... whoops. And I guess I will just do that because... wow, that's quick! That is very easy. Leopoldus, I haven't even read yours yet, so you are... you are absolved of your sin. And then Clark, however, goes to hell! You're gonna go to hell! Wah! Just kidding, you're fine. But, be more wary of the future of what you say, etc. Ooh. Okay. Whew. Oh fuck. Were those carrying a space pirate? That's fun. Why do you have so much health? This is fucking another one. And another one? Are you serious? But that one died in one shot? I don't know. Where'd the space pirate go? I guess it ate it. I wanted to scan it and be like, this one looks like it's been dragged along the floor for 15 minutes. Ooh. Oh, it's one of those pods. It's one of the space coffins. Are you alive? Trooper appears to have been cornered before being impaled with a pirate melee weapon. So now. Target was part of an energy generation system that fed power into the ship's Aurora unit. This model of PDA is commonly used by many Federation personnel. The current display reads, okay, chat, remember this. 78356. Please, someone put that in chat so I don't have to write it down anywhere. Do you think the Metroids could also be quick killed with X-ray? Oh, good question. I should really be trying that on, like, everything, shouldn't I? And also, thank you, chat. Damn, you are impaled. Galactic Federation data file. And Anhur incident. Anhur? They didn't move to Lockwood. Anhur. Does anyone know what that is? That doesn't sound familiar to me. Oh, planet Aether, home of the Luminoth. Okay, well, we know what that is. Was struck by a Phazon meteor 5 decades ago. The impact had catastrophic effects on the already unstable planet, creating a dark twin of the planet and a dire race known as the IGN. A brutal war between the twin planets took place, with IGN gaining the upper hand with all their shitty reviews. They were churning them out too fast because they don't have any effort put into them. The girlfriends, Tyr, went to the sector to investigate pirate activity, but were forced to make an emergency landing on Aether. Shortly after, the entire crew of Tyr was attacked and annihilated by IGN. Hunter Samus Aran, of course, was sent to investigate and wound up entangled in the local conflict. Aran fought against both space pirates and IGN and arose victorious. Aether's dark twin vanished, taking with it the IGN horde, and the planet's peace was finally restored. After the Aether incident, the Federation sent the FGS Anhur back to Aether to deal with the pirate base. Upon arrival, the crew and marines of the Anhur assisted the native Luminoth in dismantling an abandoned space pirate mining facility. During the operation, the crew detected the presence of Phazon. The ship's crew investigated and collected several kilograms of ore, which would later lead to the development of the PED. Ah, so that's how that works. How do you think the Federation feels about every time they write up a report about some sort of incident? They have to go, and then Samus cleaned up the whole mess. You know? And then Samus came along and fixed everything. You guys got anything interesting to say? Sort of large number of energy burns from phase-made weapons. Trooper was violently thrown against a wall. Subject's neck is broken. Pretty sure it's become a predictable outcome by now. I feel like when it's one in progress, they're writing about it, you know, like, currently space pirates are attacking. I assume that Samus is gonna show up and stop them pretty soon. Pirate corpses relevant wounds from Federation Marine assault rifle. Bioform died from internal bleeding from assault rifle wounds. Melee weapon is missing. This is the guy that killed that guy! That's fun that they have that. That's so fun that he killed the guy. Oh, 7, 8, 3, 5, 6. I bet you that shake was like scripted to happen when you press the first one. Oh fuck.
67.3. This will be the last communication of the GFS Valhalla. Our efforts to repel the space pirate boarding force have failed. They have successfully removed the primary mounting structure around our stasis tank. It is obvious now that they intend to extract us from the Valhalla. It is vital that the Federation receive this transmission. Severing main power. A large bioform is creating a wormhole. Implant into sentient planet, which is the source of all Phazon. Darkness coming.
Whoa. Well, if it isn't future Mother Brain, I assume. Because that would make sense and be cool. Are we gonna use this? Okay, here we go. Oh, okay. Let's try that again. There we go. Sentient planet, we're Dead Space now. Which one was first? What came first, Dead Space or this one? Also, which Dead Space had that? Was it the first one already that had it? I don't remember.
Appears to be a space pirate Leviathan command code. It is likely that this code could allow us to control the Leviathan in orbit above the pirate home world. Find a way onto the Leviathan and use that code.
Okay, I already did that, so that's good. Did I already use all of the energy cells? No, 2 of them have gone unused. We should definitely use them. We went through the trouble of getting them, so we should use them, you know? It'd be really funny if I just end up with 100% completion. I wasn't trying, it just kind of happens. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it'd be kind of funny. No, no, no! We're okay. What if it's near completion, like 95%? I probably still won't give a shit. I guess it depends when it's at 95%. Let's see. We should... What's in this room? Must have been a power-up at some point. But... I want to go this way. Ow. Ow, ow. And then this way, hello. Hello, please excuse me, I'm just gonna keep going. Thank you. Damn it. Okay. Yes, it's the Metroids, it's correct. It's the Phazon Metroids even, which are scarier than regular... Wait. How am I... Oh, hello? I forgot to use the X-ray on the Metroids. It's very funny that it seems that the X-ray visor just lets you shoot through matter to get to the weak point. Like, you're not actually... Because it's usually something on the inside, right? Do you think Louis Pikmin would find a way to prepare and eat Metroids? Yes, for sure, and I think he would find it a fun challenge as well. I mean, like, we humans constantly eat, like, poisonous shit, you know? Like, not just, like, peppers, which are, like, technically poisonous, but it's kind of like a benign poison. It's just like, ha, whoo, you know? We like, eat pufferfish and stuff. Those are, like, super poisonous, you know? So, if we can do that, then Louis, who I would say is more tenacious than we are, would definitely eat a Metroid. Wait, no, hey, no, come back. I need a useless upgrade for my ship. This is cute. This is a cute little section. I wonder if it's got rubber banding. Oh, well, never mind. I got it. And now I just gotta go all the way back. Ooh! What the hell? My food already? That's way too early. Ugh, why did I keep doing this? I'll be right back, y'all. Okay, hi, I'm back. Yes, it is my food. And I gave that delivery person a stern talking to, and he was like, oh, damn. I'm gonna tell my boss, because I did not know that it was supposed to arrive later. So things should be better in the future. Do-do-do. Bomb. This is a fun section. I always like these parts in Metroid Prime. They're funny. What's for dinner? Lasagna. We talked about lasagna earlier, and now I really want lasagna, so I've ordered a lasagna. But I can't eat it yet because it's the stream hasn't been going for 3.5 hours yet, so we have to wait like half an hour. You can just do that, decide when something gets delivered. Oh my god. The fuck, dude? Okay. Yeah, that's just the thing that's happening here. Alright then. We had that problem too in Metroid Prime, well, 2. It happened there too. It was very weird. Where are we going? Where am I? Get out of my way. How did I end up there? Where am I? What's going on? What the fuck? Oh fuck. Yeah, it's like a Metroid Prime 2. Alright, well, I assume then that we're done here now, considering we have used all of the energy cells. So we can go beat the game or whatever. Experts, give me an estimate. How much longer will this take in like time-wise? Just like be like an hour or 30 minutes or something, you know? Because that's gonna decide whether I want to beat it now or if I want to save the rest of the game for next time. And I guess end the stream early, which I'm fine with because I'm very hungry and I want to eat the lasagna. But also, if it's, you know, not enough for a whole nother stream, then I'm like, well, then I'll just beat it now. Because I know I'm about to take I'm about to take that other Leviathan into, like, through a wormhole to get to the planet Phase. And I don't know if that's gonna just be immediately the final boss or if there's like level attached, so a time estimate would be nice. Please. If I take if I take the if I take the Leviathan, that means I can't take my own ship with me. Big sad. There will be a level before the last. It's gonna take a bit, over 30 minutes for sure, if I recall. Alright, then we might just quit. Although, is there a What's better? Is it better? I think it's... No, it's better if we do the Leviathan, traveling with the Leviathan now. I assume there will be a save point at the other end, right? Like immediately? Queen, go get the lasagna. Finish this another stream and start something else. Wait, when you say start something else, do you mean like play something else now? For like half an hour? I think save now and just do it next stream. Yeah, I guess so. Alright. Go get food. I've got my food, it's on the floor. It's packaged and in a bag, and the bag is on the floor. The food itself is not on the floor. Don't worry. Go on the floor. It's safe, it's fine, it's safe. Once you activate the Leviathan, you are then encouraged to prepare power-ups. Right, okay, alright. Step on the food. No! I'm going to end stream now, and then I'm going to eat the food. Phazon, queen. Big sad. Anyway, I'm gonna stop. Kaliva streams. Thank you very much for following. Welcome. There will be no save points once you hit the phase, just FYI. That is very good to know, Leopoldus. Thank you. Very good information. Who needs table and plates and cutlery when we have floor? But this is the end of the stream for today. We've made very good progress and are about to make the most progress, which is beating the game, but that'll be like next week or so. If you're like, dang, I hope that I can be there. How will I know? When? And where? Which rhymes. Exclamation point links in chat, and you get a little link that leads to my little website that has all my links on it, and they're labeled and stuff, and you can figure it out from there. Obviously, the Discord is the best place to stay up to date what I'm doing, because then you get a little at here and stuff. But you don't have to worry about joining the whole community and stuff if you don't want to, or because it seems scary to you or something. Because you only get the stream announcements channel and a channel explaining how to get into the full server if you want to, but no pressure. Yeah, let's find someone to raid. I haven't posted a new schedule yet for next week. I'll probably do that tomorrow. It's a little late now, and I just want to eat my food. So keep an eye out on for that. Now we are going to raid. Sippy. I'll take a little sippy at the end here. Thank you very much. That's my last water. We are going to raid Goofy Honk. Goofy is a clown VTuber, very nice person, very funny and wacky, and a very good artist. Very good artist. Goofy's playing Baldur's Gate, not 3, 1. The original Baldur's Gate. So that's fun. If you thought that all the romance in the new one was forced and not that good, then it's all good. I don't think they have any of that in this one. The raid message will be the raid message corruption levels at 69%. This is it. This is the raid message. So thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you again later. I'm gonna have me some good fucking lasagna. I'm so excited. If you want to come along with the stream, but Twitch is being a bitch and you aren't brought along automatically, stay in chat. I will post a link and you can come along anyway. All right. See you guys. Bye bye. Bye bye bye.